Hello everyone, I'm back with another session. Before we begin this video, I would like to thank you all for great feedback on YouTube comments, personal messages and Instagram. For those of you who want to personally contact me, you guys can follow me on my Instagram handle, which is Rohit Aries, ROHITARIES. कल हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था मॉडर्निज्म के बारे में, ज़ाइटगीस्ट के बारे में. वी आल्सो डिस्कस्ड अबाउट हाउ आइडियाज गेट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय द कलेक्टिव साइकोलॉजी ऑफ द सोसाइटी, कलेक्टिव साइकोलॉजी ऑफ एन एरा. और हमने देखा था कि कैसे मॉडर्निज्म के 6 प्रिंसिपल्स, 6 आइडियाज ने इन्फ्लुएंस करा उस टाइम के प्रोडक्ट्स को, बिल्डिंग्स को या बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट को. If you guys remember, I ended the session with the fact that modernism actually gave wings to various art movements and architectural movements. Lot of isms, if you remember. तो वो दो isms आज हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. We will be discussing about two important art and architectural movements. Why I'm saying art movement as well? Because art भी उस टाइम की collective psychology से अछूता नहीं रहा. वो भी इन्फ्लुएंस हुआ उस टाइम के आइडिएशन और आइडियोलॉजीज से. तो जो दो आज हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं वो होंगे, फर्स्ट वन इज गोइंग टू बी माय पर्सनल फेवरेट, पॉप आर्ट, एंड द सेकंड वन इज, it stands in a huge contrast to the word written above, which is minimalism. We are going to start with pop art. Before we start with pop art, I'm going to use modernism as an umbrella movement. If we talk about this, for example, what is an umbrella movement? एक छतरी है, something which encompasses everything which is beneath. एक ऐसी छतरी जिसके नीचे बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे आर्ट मूवमेंट्स खड़े हैं, और वो छोटे छोटे आर्ट मूवमेंट्स को जन्म दिया, उन आर्ट मूवमेंट्स को विंग्स दिए हमारे पेरेंट मूवमेंट ने, पेरेंट आर्किटेक्चरल मूवमेंट ने, विच वाज मॉडर्निज्म. और उसके अंदर जो छोटे छोटे मूवमेंट्स हैं उनमें से दो छोटे मूवमेंट्स आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे, पॉप आर्ट एंड मिनिमलिज्म. So as I was discussing yesterday, modernism में one of the principles, if you guys remember, was self-sufficiency of work of an art. What is self-sufficiency? Self-sufficiency was, for example, if I draw a perfect portrait of a person and I make a smiley to depict a person, even the smiley is an art. यानी कि हर art है. Everything you see around, हर इंसान एक आर्टिस्ट है. अगर वो एक छोटा सा लाइन, 2-3 लाइन भी खींच रहा है तो वो भी एक आर्टिस्ट है. और इससे एक आर्ट मूवमेंट डेवलप हुई मॉडर्निज्म में. पॉप आर्ट नहीं, पॉप आर्ट को भी डेवलप होने से पहले एक आर्ट मूवमेंट डेवलप हुआ which actually gave which actually fueled pop art. उसने फ्यूल दिया पॉप आर्ट को. It's like an engine which started pop art, and that movement is known as abstract expressionism. Do not get afraid of these words. I'm here to break them for you. Abstract expressionism सुनने में जितना कॉम्प्लेक्स लगता है वो समझने में इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं है. एब्स्ट्रैक्ट का मतलब होता है जो चीज दिमाग में है, माइंड में है, कॉम्प्लेक्स थॉट्स हैं, बट अभी पूरी तरह से क्लियर थॉट्स नहीं है, वो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट थॉट्स होते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई से आई लव यू, दैट इज अ वेरी क्लियर थॉट. बट इफ yet I feel that what actually love means, love का मतलब ही क्या है, वो सोच रहा हूँ, that is an abstract thought. So that is abstract. And expressionism means, that is why whenever you see abstract art, that is very confusing, because that is the picture of somebody's mind. उस mind में बहुत complex thoughts हैं और वो उसको depict कर रहा है उस art में. That is why abstract art can be very very confusing for people. आप जब भी abstract art देखते होगे आप बोलते हो पता नहीं क्या बना के चला गया ये board पे, but actually he is expressing what is there in his complex mind. Second word is expressionism. Expressionism is expression, अपनी भावनाओं को व्यक्त करना. That is expressionism. And abstract expressionism was one movement जहां पर मैं अपनी complexity, अपने दिमाग की उलझनों को पेपर पे उतार रहा हूँ by using whatever medium I get. If I have this marker and I draw anything random, this is an abstract art. This is abstract expressionism. To explain this, I have also created an art form. Yesterday, a lot of people messaged me that you are not using board. which I felt really I got so carried away by this fact that I was explaining something that I forgot to use this board that is standing next to me. So to not so that nobody complains it after this, I've created an art form. If you see, I've created a painting which is abstract expressionism. It shows that there's this continuous confusion that is there. For example, if I have to simplify this, you guys know that there were two kinds of freedom fighters in India: moderates and extremists. Similarly, in my mind also, there are two personalities. I have one which is very loud, outrageous. The other one is very calm, composed. The blue depicts that calm and composing personality, and the red depicts the aggressive behavior, the outrageous person that is there inside me. And that depicted through this art is abstract expressionism. I hope nobody's confused about abstract expressionism. I've also given my Instagram handle. You guys can contact me personally if there's any confusion regarding abstract expressionism. Now, when you have art like that, as opposed to the art of an era where everything has to be made perfectly, जहाँ पर सब कुछ perfect बना होना चाहिए था और अब ये art आ चुकी थी, इसने फ्यूल दिया पॉप आर्ट को। और पॉप आर्ट में किस तरीके की आर्ट फॉर्म आने लगी, दैट इज समथिंग जिससे आप सुन के शॉक हो जाएंगे। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर वाज अ पर्सन who called that every day to day life object is also art। तो उसने क्या किया, उसने एक यूरिनल बनाया। हिज नेम वाज मार्सेल। मार्सेल ने एक यूरिनल बनाया एंड ही सेड दैट दिस यूरिनल is art, is work of art, and that got very very famous, very controversial, but it got famous. Now there was another person who I like to call as father of pop art. He is Andy Warhol. I absolutely love him. Andy Warhol made so many outrageous paintings which redefined the notions of art. उसने एक कॉपर की प्लेट ली and he ran urinating on that copper plate. Copper plate got oxidized because of his urine, and it created a certain pattern and texture on that plate. Commonly, this is known as oxidation. Or wo oxidation, it got sold, and it got sold costly, and he became very famous for that. He also created various kinds of art like that. उसने बोला हर चीज आर्ट है। जब हर चीज ही आर्ट है तो आर्टिस्ट ने इस चीज का बहुत फायदा उठाया। So what they did was they started painting things like a soup can. They started painting things like a sneaker. So shoes, they started painting things like Coca-Cola bottles, and they said that all of these are art. And because now I'm going to reduce this word to you, because all of this was termed as pop. So where does this word pop come from? You must have heard that pop music, suno, pop fashion kya hota hai. Where is this word coming from? The word pop comes from popular. Popular is anything that gets famous, and the word popular comes from people. That means whatever people were loving in that time was popular, and hence it was pop. And pop art is an encompassing art movement which encompasses everything that people of that era love, and that was pop art. So pop art was something that really really influenced the architecture, interiors, art movements, fashion, and even the music, some fields which you otherwise feel are not even directly related to art and architectural movements. All of that was influencing uh, was influenced by this movement. So pop art was very very interesting. Pop art was also something that encompassed comics भी उसके अंदर आ गए. It also affected music, and because I was talking about that it was something related to popular amongst people, so that means that the famous personalities of that time, for example, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, were also the prime focus on these art forms. So there's a very famous painting by Andy Warhol, Marilyn Diptych. I want you guys to Google this one. Marilyn Diptych. First, let's understand. Marilyn is the name of the actress, you must be knowing. And what is a diptych? Let's understand that. Diptych is an art piece which is drawn on two panels, one panel and two panels. So it's an art form which opens like this. This is a diptych. So on one panel, he made Marilyn photographs, which are very, very bright and colorful, which is what people used to perceive her. And on the other side, there were black and white images of Marilyn Monroe, which used to seem very dark. So what he tried to depict through this was that the colorful part is what people perceive, जो लोगों को दिखाई देता है कि मैरलिन की लाइफ इतनी ब्राइट और कलरफुल है, और यहाँ पर उसने मैरलिन की डार्क इमेजेस दिखाई कि ये वो लाइफ है जो मैरलिन एक्चुअली में फेस कर रही है रियलिटी में, which is she was suffering from depression and other mental disorders at that time. So pop art also gave wings to words like parody. जैसे आज हम पैरोडी वीडियोस बनाते हैं, किसी का मजाक उड़ाते हुए वीडियोस बनाते हैं. It also give wings to quirky things, कि कोई चीज जो वियर्ड है, अलग सी दिखाई दे रही है, उसे भी उसने वॉइस दी पॉप आर्ट ने. So pop art was also about that. Pop art was also about consumerism. It was loud, outrageous. कंज्यूमरिज्म मतलब एडवर्टाइजमेंट, साइनेजेस, उसमें जो ब्राइट कलर्स आज हम देखते हैं, पावरफुल कलर्स देखते हैं, स्ट्रॉन्ग स्ट्रोक्स देखते हैं, ऑल ऑफ दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ पॉप आर्ट. सो पॉप आर्ट वाज ऑल अबाउट brightness, loudness. This was pop art. Now pop art I was talking about, so I have also made a quick rendition of how pop art used to look like. Pop art was all about colors. So this is another quick rendition to make things clear that how it looked like in terms of visual imagery. It is something like this. Now, if you put this, I'm going to discuss minimalism. Before we start with minimalism, the word minimalism is made from minimum. Minimum means bare essentials. जितना required है उतने essential चीजें. And bare essentials, when I say, so one movement under modernism was so loud, outrageous. The other movement, in fact, was in exact contrast to the previous one. Minimalism said कि extra चीजों की जरूरत नहीं है. Now I'm going to take you back to modernism's second point of ideation, which was rejection of every belief system and nihilism, belief in nothing. It said that if the basic requirement of making a home is a vertical column, a horizontal supporting member beam, and a slab, then that is all there should be to construct a building. And that is why minimalism, if I reduce it into imagery, so you have one imagery of pop art here. Now you have another imagery of how minimalism would look like. This is a cover page of a diary gifted to me by someone, and I find it really minimalistic. First of all, in terms of colors, if you see, it's all white, grays, and black. The other one is very colorful. Here you see that it is very, very linear. Here you see composition which is chaotic, which has a lot of elements of art in it. Now this is minimalism. Now this is extreme minimalism. This is another diary gifted to me by someone, and here you see that the whole cover page is is completely gray, blank, and there's a brand name written on it. That's it. This is extreme minimalism. And the same thing was translated into architecture. So there's somebody who I would call the father of minimalism, or somebody who was pioneer of minimalism, very famous, and his name is Mies van der Rohe. Mies van der Rohe, I think you guys can Google this man. So it is spelled as Mies is his first letter, van der Rohe. Mies van der Rohe. Mies van der Rohe is somebody who also gave a very famous phrase which is constantly used in architectural movements, constantly used in amongst architectural fraternity, which is less is more. Something which is also used in fashion industry a lot. So less is more is basically कम ही बहुत कुछ है. Actually, जितना कम उतना अच्छा. That is what he believed in, and you can see them being translated into built environment that he has designed. So you must Google two buildings that I'm giving you. First one is Farnsworth House, Farnsworth, Farnsworth House. It's in America, USA. And the second one is Seagram's building, Seagram's, and apostrophe S Seagram's building. Seagram's building is a very black cuboidal sort of building. You will, the moment you will Google it, there'll be an image of this building, and you will immediately relate this to the movement that I'm talking about, minimalism, because both the buildings are extremely minimalistic in the way it appears. So minimalism, it began with this idea of removing everything that is extra in a building. So nothing extra is required, because they believe that ornamentation, everything is useless. Just because historically it was done doesn't mean it should be repeated in the modern buildings that we were building. Because modernism was, after all, rejection of history. So it rejected every ornamentation that was visible in the architecture previously, and it rejected it. And minimalism was something that was unique at that time. And pop art and minimalism, they were sort of, you know they were carrying forward the principles of modernism, and this is how it started affecting the overall products of those era. For example, as I was talking about the pop art influence music, fashion, everything, you might be very surprised to know that even minimalism sort of influenced music. If you will type minimalism music in Google, you will also find music which is very monotonous. It goes in a single syllable or a single rhythm. So even it influenced music, it influenced fashion, it even till date it influences fashion. This is one word that you will hear a lot in our profession as well, that design this building, keep it minimal, keep it uh, keep it in such a way that it does not create chaos in the overall composition. This is minimalism.